Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Hello fellow Fox fans, welcome along to the show. It's Thursday I think tonight. I tell you what, I think I'm on every night this week. The games are coming thick and fast. I'm Chris and this is Leicester Till I Die TV. It is, and it's the FA Cup this weekend. So we're going to be looking at the game on Sunday. We are away to Brentford. And like I say, so tonight we are on the Opposition View show. You can catch us in all the normal places. If you're watching live, we're on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. We're on Twitter, Periscope, at Leicester TID. And Facebook is obviously the Facebook group, Leicester Till I Die. Post-match, again, back on the YouTube and also on your favourite podcast platform as Leicester Till I Die, whether that be Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google or Anchor or any other. You can catch us there about half an hour after the show ends. It is back to FA Cup action this weekend. Like I say, we are away at Griffin Park and Brentford, and I'm going to welcome in a fellow fan coming from Brentford, and he is part of the Besotted Brentford fan group. So we're going to say good evening to Billy. Hello, Billy.
Hello, good evening. How you doing? You good?
Not so bad. Ask me again Sunday night and I'll let you know for definite. But at the moment, I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. It's the magic of the FA Cup.
That's right. It's the magic of the FA Cup. And I tell you, it's a bit of a weird one, actually, because obviously it's Groundhog Day for us, actually. You know, us and Leicester. You know, we haven't met you. We haven't played you for, God, what's it, 20 odd years or something like that. And all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's like buses that twice come at once. You know, so there's obviously a bit of a difference this year than there was last year, because obviously last year we played Leicester. It came out the hat. Bit of a strange one for us because we were right in the middle of our promotion campaign and we were really pushing hard to go up last season. We had Ollie Watkins, who was on fire. You know, so Ollie Watkins is properly on fire. And so we knew that he wasn't going to play. And also we knew that Brentford was going to rest a lot of players, actually. And so, you know, so we kind of went out with, as you call it, a B side. And so I just remember going to the game and calling up all my Leicester mates, the Leicester Foxes, Rishi and them lot from the Leicester, the Proud Foxes, and that one, you know, Steve, you know, my mate Steve as well, Jordan. I've got a load of sort of Leicester mates. We called them all up. We went down the pub beforehand. They all came down our pub, had a few beers beforehand, and we went to the match. And it was quite cool because at least you had that sort of social factor before going to the game. This time we haven't got that. You know, you're going to walk from the kitchen to the living room with a 4-pack of cans to go and watch a game. That's a bit of a shame, really.
Unless you're like myself, and I live in a flat, so actually the kitchen just goes straight into the living room, so I don't even have to go through a door, you know. But,
yeah, no, I hear that.
It's handy to go and get another can, I must admit. But yeah, we do. I think we're all agreed we do miss that side of the football and being there. But it was quite something that because, excuse me, I just brought it up there. I'll just bring it up again. Of course, it was 1-0. We scored after 4 minutes. That was probably one of the longest 86 minutes of my life. Inacho scored. And I mean, you know, Inacho scored a winning goal. That's like a golden duck egg.
Yeah, it is for you. I mean, it means nothing to us. All we know is that you knocked us out the FA Cup. Like, you know. But,
you can have him if you want him.
Yeah. That's right. To be fair, I mean, last season, I mean, you know, for the side that we put out, and Leicester came down, we got a lot of respect for you guys. Really good side. It was a lot close, not close. I mean, it was one of those games that was close, but it wasn't close, if you know what I'm saying. But it was a lot closer than we thought it was going to be, considering the side that we put out. I think the biggest disappointment for us was the fact that it was on TV, it was on BBC TV, and it's different for you. Like, you're on TV all the time, but Brentford before last season or this season now, we're never on TV. I mean, I've been supporting them for 40 odd years and we're never ever on TV. And all of a sudden, there's that bang, we're on mainstream TV. So all my mates are going, oh, you know, we're going to see Brentford. You're on TV. We've heard all about you, Ben Rama, Watkins, the BMW. Oh, fantastic! And I'm like, oh, geez, none of them are going to play. So we turned up with our B team, and the B team they did all right. But it wasn't quite the same. So I think people were a little bit kind of slightly underwhelmed by seeing them for the first time we actually could put ourselves in front of the whole wide world. And that was probably the biggest disappointment for me about last year's FA Cup match.
I mean, don't say too much about it. It wasn't that long ago that we were in the same position as you. And I can remember Saturday complaining about how often our matches were getting changed, you know, to be on TV. All right, we went on and won the Premier League, so I kind of guess that's why we were on it so much. But now, of course, it's great that we get all our games on TV because at least we get to see them. Do you get to see many of yours? Are you on much apart from the FA Cup?
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. That all of a sudden, it's like, you know, I mean, last season it was, you know, we used to make a joke calling it Sky Sports Leeds, like, you know, because Leeds were like literally on TV the whole time, you know. But all of a sudden, is that Sky started to have a fondness for Brentford, and before we knew it, we started to get on TV a fair amount, like, you know. And then the funny thing is that this season now, because Leeds are gone, we're on TV kind of loads, so it's almost turned to Sky Sports Brentford now, like, you know. So it's quite funny. And I'm a person that I'll go to every game home and away, pretty much, like, you know. So I'm home and away for every game. So being on TV doesn't really bother me. And sometimes I actually find, you know, being on TV can be a bit of a pain, and it takes away that whole kind of side of things. But obviously with the pandemic now, and you want to try and see your team as much as possible, it's actually turned out to be a little bit of a bonus. And it's going to be interesting to see how things flip back when we go back to actually watching games in stadium. I mean, I know a lot of people have got used to watching football on TV where they wouldn't have done beforehand. Yeah. And I know that, you know, we have to remember also that, you know, even though I don't like to believe it, we are in the minority. The people who actually go to games in the stadium, we are the minority, even though I believe that is the way that you're meant to watch football. But the vast majority of people actually kind of sit on their couches, they're armchair fans, and they watch it in front of the TV. So I'm hoping that this new shift hasn't changed what's going to happen in the years, and all of a sudden we're going to start seeing 3 o'clock games and games being moved, you know, willy-nilly even more than they have been before, because I think that's going to be a real shame. We're accommodating now because it works out for the TV people, works out for the fans, works out for the clubs, but we need to go back to kind of, you know, the football's about the fans and in the stadium really, and we need to, hopefully that's not going to change when we come out of this pandemic.
I'm kind of torn between the two views really, because I'm Leicester born and bred, but I've not lived in Leicester now for 30 odd years. So for the last 30 odd years, any home game has been like an away game. I have a 7-hour return trip to go and see a home game. So anytime it's on the telly, it used to be sort of a Billy bonus for me. But that said, the fans in the ground always have to come first, in my opinion, because that's what football is. And the fact that I've moved away was a lifestyle choice, a job choice, etc. But no, it should always be for the fans that can go and see it in the stadium.
That's right. And yeah, I think you're 100%. You're 100% right. And like I said to you, I can't wait to get back in the stadium myself. Yeah. I suppose as you can as well. We got a brand new stadium that I've only been in once.
Funny you should ask that, because Stephen Collins here is actually saying, Billy, what's the new stadium like?
Yeah, tell you something. It's great. It's difficult because for me to turn around and say to you, it's brilliant. It's absolutely the best thing in the world. I can't say that yet because I've not been in there with a full crowd. But what I have done, I've seen it from the outside. It looks great from the outside. The one thing that I'm going to put it out there. The one thing that I'm not 100% about is the seats, is the multicolored seats, because for me, Brentford are red and white, and I would like to have a little bit more red and white, maybe black and everything like that in there, so that if you're flying over on the plane or you see photographs when the stadium's empty, then it kind of brands you as a fan, as red and white stripes. But that is me. There's Brentford fans who love it because they think it makes it look completely different and people know that it's a Brentford stadium. But forget that, because that's not going to change the feel of the place. It's not going to change the atmosphere. I was lucky enough when we played Blackburn Rovers just before lockdown 3.0. I was very lucky to have got a ticket. So I was one of the first batch of people to go into the new stadium. I went there with my daughter Bella, my son Elias, and I went down to got inside the stadium, went inside there, and I have to admit, when I walked in, I thought this is wicked, because the first thing about it is that it's a new stadium, but it's not too big. Don't forget, we're Brentford, so everyone's sort of saying, oh, why isn't it 60,000, 70,000? Not interested in that. All I wanted to do is to go inside a stadium with my mates. It's nice and compact. It's got a good atmosphere. You can make a good noise. You can see the game, and that's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in having a stadium that's going to house 10,000 Man United fans whenever we get the chance to play them. It's pointless, So
you've got to remember, there's probably 20,000 Man United fans that actually live in Brentford.
Yeah, well, that's that's it. And this is no disrespect to Man United fans. That's all cool. But what I'm trying to say is that I know there's so many teams that were in lower divisions. Then as soon as they went up, people started to get season tickets in those stadiums, but not to go and see that team, to go and see all the Premier teams like the Man Cities and the Man Uniteds and that, and kind of it lost its atmosphere. So for me, I'll be happier if it's full of Brentford fans. It's like 17,500 people inside there. So you walked in there and it's like, this stadium is big, but it's not that big. It's kind of tight enough so that you can get a nice vibe, a nice atmosphere. There's only 2,000 of us in there because of the tiers and the fans that can go in. There's only 2,000, but we started singing. I haven't done that for 9 months. Started singing, got to shout things at the referee and stuff like that, which is quite a good laugh as well. I thought, cool, blimey, this is what you do at football. But it was actually felt really good, and it made me feel that. And also, like when you look behind you, you think, oh, actually, there's not many sort of seats that go from where I am all the way to the back of the stand. So it's, it's quite tight there. And also the length of it. And so I thought to myself, actually, this is going to be really good when it's buzzing, when it's 17,000 people on here. It's actually going to be really, really buzzing atmosphere. You can see where the away end was in the north stand in the corner. They've decided to put the away fans in the corner, but you've got a nice little corner there. And again, you're close to the pitch. You've got, a relatively low roof. Honestly, I think that people are going to enjoy coming down to. You said Griffin Park, but it's actually, we call it New Griffin Park, which is
Griffin Park
at Lionel Road, New Griffin Park. I think people enjoy coming down there.
I think a lot of people blame the Leicester City website for that, because they've got it up as Griffin Park still, but
right.
New Griffin Park.
That's right. A lot of people have been slating it, and like Fulham fans, of course, are like calling it the Lego Stadium and things like that, as they would do. I mean, Fulham, if they're lucky, they might not even be playing us next season, because fingers crossed if things go right, it'll be bees up, Fulham down, as the song goes. But they could say that, but I think it's very difficult to make a decision on a stadium until you've been inside it. And it's all right saying things from photographs and seeing it on TV, but you've got to say it inside it. And all the Fulham fans, who are having to go at our stadium, I think there's a bit of jealousy there, really. Like, best team in West London and that kind of stuff.
Well, hopefully we might get a chance to see it for ourselves if it's all, if we get rid of these virus and we're back to the grounds next season. And you've got a good chance of coming up, but we'll have a look at that in a minute as we go. But you were saying about the last time we played was in the FA Cup. Actually, the first time we ever played each other was also in the FA Cup. And let me just bring it up here. Our first ever game between us was, and I wasn't there before anybody says it. I know I'm old, but I wasn't there. 11th of January 1936 at Leicester, and we won 1-0. So the first ever game was an FA Cup, and the last ever game was an FA Cup. But
and saying that about FA Cups as well, and if you check out, as you just called me now, I was actually editing our podcast. I do the Besotted Pride of West London podcast, which is on prideofwest.london, and I'm editing the one at the moment now, so it should be live hopefully a little bit later on Thursday, if not definitely on today's Thursday, isn't it? I've lost track. Or if not, definitely Friday morning, or definitely just check that out, because it talks about our previous matches. You'll find out a load about us, but also we talked to Brad from Leicester Fan TV as well. So that's right. So we talked to Brad on there as well. So we're doing a Leicester thing as well. But also we've got a little guy called JB on the podcast, and he does all sorts of stats and facts. He's got facts and funk, we call it, his little section. And he says actually that I think we've played Leicester. I don't know how many times, but we played you in the cup, but we've actually never beaten you in the cup. We played you so many times in the cup.
I can tell you actually, and not that I've prepared this at all, but in the FA Cup we've played each other 6 times. We've won 4 and we've drew twice. In fact, just to rub it in a little bit, and it's Leicester, we can't always rub it in. It was January 47 was the 2 draws, because we drew, I think we drew at your place, then we drew at our place, then we played the 3rd game at Villa Park, and we actually went through finally 4-1. So we have got the vex over you in the FA Cup.
That you have, and that game as well was, and I believe, and again, if you listen to JB and the stats and facts, that was I think it was our record crowd. I think there was a crowd of nearly 40,000 at Griffin Park for that Leicester game as well. And there's a documentary called Push Up Brentford. Again, if you check it out, it's actually on YouTube. It was on TV the other day, but it's actually a really, really interesting documentary. It's called Push Up Brentford, and just check it out. And it's really interesting. It goes back into the history of bees. It's got fans talking about various things, photographs and footage. And there's one guy on there who talks about, I think when he went to that FA Cup game, he was actually at that FA Cup game in, 1948 or whenever it was, and he was there. He's a young little kid, and he said that I think he couldn't see the pitch, and he asked, but it was a people actually carried him above their head from the top of the terrace all the way down to the bottom of the terrace, so that he can actually watch the game, so he can actually be put in front of the fence at the front.
What platform is that on? Is it normal telly, Netflix, or
it's on? No. Well, it was on it's on one of the community channels, which you could have got on Sky TV. Again, you could probably get it maybe on demand on Push. It's called Push Up Brentford, so you can check that out. But also you can get it. You can get it on YouTube. It's on YouTube 100%. If you just do Push Up Brentford on YouTube, you get it. It's definitely worth a watch, actually, because it's proper football fans, real football. It talks about all the things about going to games and watching football and the elements and the dodgy and racism and it's just got everything in there. It's good.
Let me ask, because obviously, and no disrespect to Brentford, but you're obviously in the Championship in the 2nd tier. When the football draw's being made, I suppose your ideal draw, you'd love to get a Man United or a Liverpool, one of the big teams. When Leicester comes out, is it like, oh God, it's only Leicester, or is it now, oh, it's Leicester because of sort of where we are? What are your feelings when Leicester come out? Well, twice it's happened now, when we come out the bag for you.
The honest truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Last season, we were like, yeah, okay, that's quite good. We were not quite good, but we were good because we haven't played Leicester for a long time, and we want to play somebody that you've not played before. So there's only a few teams that we haven't played before. One of them's Man United. We've played Arsenal now as well. So Man United is pretty much one of the teams that we actually haven't played, and we've desperately trying to get them out of the hat. So that didn't come out. So we're like, so it's Leicester. We're like, okay, that's quite cool. Good draw, good team. But then afterwards, when we realised that we are going to be playing not a full strength side, it kind of had a different gloss on it. This time, I have to admit, because you couldn't be in the stadium, so I couldn't meet up with the mates, and because it was Leicester and you were actually quite good and you're at the top of the Premier League. When Leicester came, and we played you before, when you came out, it was like, oh no, not them again. And it was this is again not just respect to Leicester fans, but it's because we're at the stage now. We got to the semi-final of the League Cup. And we got there with our sort of kind of B+ sort of side as a second string plus side, and we managed to beat 4 Premier League sides with that team. But we thought with the FA Cup, we thought we're not going to be able to do it again, and we're not going to be playing our first string team again, 100% in the FA Cup. So if we're going to be playing our second string team, we need to be playing as many kind of sort of like teams that we think that we might be able to beat. So we were hoping we might get Crawley, or we might get Stockport if they came out of the hat, or somebody like that, so that we can get an easy run through to kind of like the semi-finals or something, so we can have a bit of a laugh and there's something for an excuse for you to go from your kitchen to your living room again with another four-pack of beer. So I mean,
in our defence, I mean, we under past managers, and Leicester fans will know which ones I'm referring to, we haven't always put a full strength team out in the cups, and it's come back and bit us on the bum. Newport did us a couple of seasons ago by that. If Stoke's anything to go on, which was sort of who we played in the last round, we beat them sort of 4-0. We literally had a full strength team out. We have, however, got a game, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday next week, against Everton. So it will be interesting to see what sort of side Brendan Rodgers puts out. That said, when you look at our not necessarily our B team, that's being unfair. Our second string, if you like, our reserves, it's a very tough bench, and I think even if it's that side, I'm feeling quite, and no disrespect to you, but I'm feeling quite confident, and we're playing a lot better away from home at the moment.
Yes, yeah. Listen, and again, you know your team as much as I know my team, and I'm not putting my team down, because the fact is that the one thing I'll say is that, listen, hands down, Leicester are a good side. I watched you play the other night. You played Chelsea the other night, and I thought, listen, good sides. 100%. You've got some great players. You're probably going to rest a few players. You probably rest, Jamie Vardy and a few players that need a little bit of rest for that game, which is fair enough. But I think you're going to feel that there's enough in your armory to actually kind of deal with Brentford. The one thing I will say though is that when we've got much more better strength in depth than we had maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So 2 or 3 years ago, we put out our first team, we brilliant. And after that, we start to bring players off the bench, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is a little bit trickier because the quality isn't necessarily there, but there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of everything else." Now, what's happened is that we've got quite a good bench. We've got quite a good backup players who have had experience as well. So when they come off the bench, or they're put into situations like games like this, you're not thinking like, "Oh, there's a player who hasn't played very many games." These are players who have played a fair amount of games as well, even if they are they are squad players. So, and also the thing that I've noticed is that, there's a lot of enthusiasm. So when they play, they're actually really potty for it. They play some great football and they're potty for it. When they started to play at the beginning of the season in the League Cup games, Brentford normally our first team normally has a really slow start every season, because we integrate new players into the side, and they really struggle sometimes to actually kind of get with the flow, because sometimes they come from outside the UK, so they come from Europe or wherever, and they don't quite understand the Championship, they don't understand the league, they don't understand a patterns of play. So sometimes it takes 12 games, 14 games for us to get up to speed. So we find ourselves kind of climbing the table slowly, and that happened again at the start of the season this year. Whereas when we were playing the cup, they were coming out of the cup, and obviously all these players are like potty for it. They're going inside, they were like bang, 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 and brilliant game. They were just playing fantastic, and it was actually much more. It was almost like better to watch, because they were just kind of going for it. It was a lot of fun, and they were just kind of just enjoying themselves. So what I will say is that yes, we might be playing a lot of squad players in this match, but it actually might make out for a really good game. And when we played Borough, we played Neil Warnock's Borough, and everyone knows about Neil Warnock and his style of football and what he likes to, do. He's very good at doing it. We thought when we were going to play Borough, we thought, oh no, we're playing Borough. What a nightmare. Neil Warnock is going to be a bore fest. That's going to be absolutely terrible. But we went out there. We had a change of team. They had a change of team. We went out there, and it was one of the most entertaining games that that we've had for quite a long time. It was really good. So I really enjoyed it.
I think for us as well, like you say, at the start of the season, we had, and I used to hate it when the big teams like the Man Uniteds, the Man Cities used to complain, oh, we've got all these injuries. But we did have all these injuries. At one point, we had virtually our whole back line was on the was on the medic table. So it meant that those players that you would normally wouldn't be getting many games were having to play week in, week out. So should we call on them, like you say, because we've got this game midweek against Everton, we've got every faith in that they can do a job. But, we're looking at Brentford. I mean, you're third in the division there. I mean, the same as we're now third now after the last couple of nights' games. You beat Luton the other night. We're both sat there in third place. You've got to be looking at playing us next season, haven't you?
I'm touching the wood here. What I'm saying? I'm not taking any after last season. And we did really well last season, but we felt the last hurdle to our rivals down the road. I can't say the word actually. I just can't. Full asset full of quite difficult for us to, as West Londoners, that other team in West London, it's really hard to actually say that, and even worse to say how you lost to them. The only time that you lose to when we beat them, we smash them every time, and the only time we couldn't smash them is in the playoff final. That was hurting a little bit. But we've got over that now, and so we're not taking anything for granted. We had a fantastic side last season. Ollie Watkins, you see what he's doing in the Premier League at the moment now. Said Ben Rama went to West Ham, probably not the best move for him. We were actually desperate that you would actually put in a bid for Ben Rama and he could come to you, to be quite honest with you, because we thought he'd have been great with Leicester. What Mahrez did with you, he would have been brilliant with you lot, but you obviously didn't need him, probably with Maddison and, players like that. You probably thought, no, we don't need him. So he went to West Ham, which personally I think is a bit of a waste, because I don't even think Moyes, I think must have been their director of football must have bought him, because I don't think Moyes really is feeling the vibe for him. So it's a bit of a waste, that. But listen, great team, absolutely fantastic team last season. Didn't go up, got a bit disbanded, put a new team together. But interestingly, what's happened is we're not quite as pretty as we are last season, probably the best way to put it. So we were really exciting. We, if you're into your stats, XG, we had XGs of 2s and 3s and 4s every match, creating loads and loads and loads of high quality chances, getting the ball up there, in behind there. And then if we couldn't do that, we had players, double nutmegging people, flicking the ball over their head, then curling it into the top corner. Oh, fantastic. So all the pundits, everyone was raving about Brentford, but we didn't quite make it, because what we did also find was that if those little chances didn't come up, or we were being overly kind of flashy, we'd lose the ball and bang, 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 we might lose a game 1-0, or we didn't have the know-how, the how to break down two banks of 4s and stuff like that. So, we lost a quarter of our games 1-0 last season. And we weren't a bad team. We lost to teams who were, like I said to you, much, much worse than us, but fair play, they got the result. What we seem to be doing this season is that we are not as pretty. So we're not necessarily doing all the things that we were doing, running at the defences like we were doing before, but we're a lot more pragmatic in midfield. We are much tighter in defence as well. Still, we've got a really tight defence, and then we're nicking these wins. And like Luton, we played Luton. In the first half, we were all over them. Yeah. The one goal, but then the second half, Luton came back at us, mate. They were all over the place. They were all over us, and we were like, oh no. Last season we would have lost that game 2-1, but we managed to grind out a 1-0 victory, and I think that is the difference between Brentford this season and Brentford last season. So coming back to your point, should we be looking at playing you next season? I would love it. Yes, I would do, but I'm still not counting on it. But if we carry on doing what we're doing now, we're doing all the right things. I think that it's looking a little more likely.
You have had a good, like you said, in the League Cup, you've been playing some Premier League teams, and it was only Tottenham that unfortunately knocked you out.
That's right. We have been playing Premier League teams, and if you put that barometer, I mean, that Tottenham game again, we played quite. Thomas Frank, he's a real thinker. He's a great guy. We got him on our podcast one time. He came up to me. He said, "Look, I'd love to come on your podcast." I'm like, "Only if you come down the pub." He went, "All right then." So he's come down the pub. We're sitting in the pub.
Wow.
4 hours down with Thomas Frank down the pub, and he sat down. If you check it out, prideofwest.london, really, really, really interesting podcast. We've got 2 of them on there as well. But anyway, if you listen to him, all he does, he talks about football. He loves football. He loves fans. He loves all that kind of stuff. So for me, he's a great guy. And I can't even remember what I started. I've deviated off, actually. We was talking about,
like you beating Premier League teams and...
Yeah, that's right. So, but for him, beating the Premier League teams, he really does believe, and looking at it, we played that Tottenham team and we could have played more Brentford, but I think he was also wanting not to get hammered by Tottenham. So what we did is that we kept it a little bit kind of more conservative than what we might have been last season, if that makes sense. Because we just know that with not Vardy, that's your boy, with
Watkins
and Jamie Boss. Oh, my mind's gone. But up front, anyway, with them up front, get them on the break, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, no, for Tottenham, Harry Kane. Oh, God,
Harry Kane.
I've met him as well. God,
my
daughter interviewed him. We went to St George's Park, and like I said to you, my brain's gone. But anyway, so Harry Kane and Son up front, bang, bang, gang, bet the goal to it's in the back of the net. So I think he spent a lot of time trying to ensure that we kept it really, really tight. We let in, a soft goal, and then after that, it was back, against the wall, and we were always chasing it. But the thing that I was really proud of is that when we went one behind, we didn't collapse, and we were always in the game. And we were always in the game until, we got that goal that was disallowed on VAR. And again, that was like Brentford's first experience of VAR. And we feel your pain, guys, with the VAR. It is such a nightmare. And look, okay, yes, he might have been offside, but what was the point? My man had his knee that was offside. And is it really affecting the play? Yes, by the rule of the book, of course it is. We're not going to go into that conversation. But all I'm saying is a Brentford fan.
Welcome to our world. Yeah, welcome to our world.
Yeah, that's right. As a Championship fan, listen, we felt that, and we would have equalised against Tottenham Hotspur, and then it would have been a different story. Probably would have gone to extra time. Maybe it would have gone to penalties, and you never know. We might have been in the League Cup semi-final. So my pride is the fact that we kind of kept them toe-to-toe all the way to pretty much the end of the game. And then at the end of the game, we went for it, and they got a break, got the goal. We got a man sent off, and end of story. But look, yes, I'd say to you that I believe that we would do, and especially with our team last season, we 100% had done better than West Brom done. And also, I think Fulham would have done as well. And as you can see, Ollie Watkins is now gone, and he's now Aston Villa, and he's helped to actually elevate them to become, a good side in that division. Ben Rama is at West Ham. They're doing pretty good as well. They're doing all right. I think we'd have been all right.
I think you've answered 4 questions in one there for me. There
you go.
2 questions. The first one was, what do you think of your manager, Thomas Frank? And I think we
love him.
Can gather from that. You like him. You like him. Of course, there isn't any VAR tomorrow. That's something we've got to get used to.
Yes.
Although having said that, we didn't have it against Stoke either. But I mean, I was going to ask you this question. I mean, you again, you've kind of answered it there. I know as a fan, I used to moan every single week about the refs getting decisions wrong and the linesman not seeing somebody's, foot and what have you. And that used to be the main topic of conversation. Now it's exactly the same moans, but about VAR. We have it week in, week out, and it's pretty much the same as when we had the ref's decision. Some go for you, some don't, and it does balance itself out. We've had the beneficiary of it. We've also been on the other end of it. Are you glad you've not got VAR and you're still doing the refs, or do you wish you had VAR?
Interesting question, because if you speak to anybody in the Championship, we'll tell you that the quality of refs in our division is really terrible. And I know a lot of people in the Premier League say, oh, it's the same there, but no, trust me, the refereeing in our division is so bad, to the fact that the fans and the owners and the players and everybody are actually all on the same side, right. and it is really terrible, some really terrible decisions. So for me, I'll be honest with you, I was always a person who wanted VAR, because you didn't know what VAR was, but I wanted electronic technology, because I've been at so many matches where, to be honest with you, I felt cheated out of it because of the refs being so terrible. There were situations like, I was at when England, South Africa, when Frank Lampard against Germany, and it didn't go in the net when it went massively over. Okay, so that didn't go in, and in the end we getting hammered. But if we'd gone in at 2-2 at that game, then it'd be different. Now you can argue saying that isn't VAR, that's goal line technology. Okay, so that is some sort of technology which I feel needs to be used. Some people say, tell you something, I don't want VAR, but I would like to keep goal line technology. I think there's definitely an argument for that. I think goal line technology is very important, and I think it's needed. So from that side of it, on the technology front, I think it's good. On the VAR front, I think the problem with it, I think it can be good, but the problem with it is that they're micro using VAR, and I think that VAR should come after. The referee should be free to still make the decisions, and then VAR should come in probably, it should be very defined where it comes in to basically, in effect, correct a referee if he makes a bad decision. And it shouldn't be a knee on an offside, right? Because I think that, you should be able to give the referee his benefit of a doubt, that if he doesn't believe it's going to be an offside, then that's fair enough. But if it's a particular distance, and then they say, okay, that's fair enough, but maybe it's not for that. Maybe it's for particular fouls, or maybe it's for penalties. I'm not quite sure what it should be, but I think VAR should be brought in very distinct and very and narrow amount of cases, so the game continues to flow. And what you're doing is that you're correcting big mistakes where the referee has made a bit of a boob, but they can come back in and he can go in his ear saying, actually, mate, that's something which is out of the parameters of where we're giving you your human error. Let's go in and correct that. And that's where I think it should be used.
And it's very interesting because you said you saw the Leicester-Chelsea game the other night. If Johnny Evans was to make that tackle in exactly the same place tomorrow, the referee would probably give it as a penalty. And then it becomes 1-1, and then it's a different game.
Yes.
VAR on that occasion, like I say, working for you, working against you, said, no, it's outside the area. And Johnny Evans was the only person on the pitch, I think, that was probably confident that it was, but it was outside the area. It's going to be. I think it's just going to be like the refs. It's just going to go on and on and on. It will never be. We'll never be happy as fans. Unless we get 100% decisions every game, it will never be happy. But going into the game on Sunday, just looking at the form guide there, again, it's very tight. You've had a good run of 6 games unbeaten, and so have we. We've just got the extra draw, but you're on a really good run there, aren't you?
Yeah, I think more to the point is that if you forget the cup games, obviously we lost to Tottenham in the cup, which is the only loss that we've had in 17 games. We're unbeaten in 16 league matches, and actually more than 17 games because we would have had a few League Cup matches as well in that. Yeah. So I think we're probably unbeaten. We've had one loss in probably about 18 games as well. Or like I said to you, 16 league games unbeaten. Again, that is our Brentford, first team. It's our kind of, it's our full strength side that we're talking about here. So again, I'm a little bit. You can throw those stats out there, but you've got to do a like for like situation. And also, we are in the Championship and you are in the Premier League. So I think there's a different value in the wins, even though we're not taking away the value of our wins. I love our wins. I think they're very nice.
You can only play who's against you, though. That's the thing at the end of the day, And like I say, I just don't think you're there to be taken lightly because, you are you are doing so well. And like I said, I think Brendan will put out a reasonably strong side. And I want to ask you, talking about your side, and if I say to you who's probably going to cause us problems tomorrow, I guess if he's playing, it's going to be a certain striker that he's doing very well.
He's not
Is he
playing,
not
mate.
playing?
Tell you something, he probably wouldn't have played anyway because, as I said last season, Ollie Watkins didn't play because he was too crucial to our league run, our league promotion run. And I don't think Ivan Toney would have played tomorrow anyway because, again, he's so crucial. This promotion is very important to us. However, he got sent off against Luton in the last minute.
We did say that, but does that sending off in the league carry over to the FA Cup?
As far as that's a good question, but I'm pretty sure it does. Because Josh De Silva got sent off in the Tottenham game, and then it got carried over through to the FA Cup and the league matches. So yes, it's going to get carried through to that. And to be quite honest with you, that's a little bit of a blessing in disguise because we had our podcast, as we said just now, Pride of West London, which I'm editing up. It should be up very soon, and we didn't have the conversation as, are they going to play Tony? Are they not going to play Tony? Because no, they're going to play Tony, So he's not going to play, and neither is Josh De Silva, who's a great player as well, because he got sent off against Tottenham in the Cup, and we've had a couple of games called off for COVID. So it's now come to this FA Cup match as well. So we haven't got the decision, will he or won't we? He won't be playing as well. So the players you're going to ask me who to look out for. Interestingly, we've actually got a striker who is our substitute striker. I think he might have played last year against you as well, Marcus Force. It's funny, Force, because basically Marcus Force, he comes in and out of games. There was a stage this season where he played, I think he'd scored every half an hour, and he scored about 6 goals. Right, he'd only played like about sort of kind of 3 hours or something like that. Ridiculous. Come on for like 10 minutes and scored a goal and 2 goals here or there. So he's one of those players who he's got an eye for goal.
He's the Finnish guy, isn't he?
That's right. He's the Finnish guy. And then, like I said to you, he's young. He came out of our B team. He's been banging in goals, for fun when he comes on. And then he went to Finland. I think he made his debut for Finland. On his debut, he played against France. Okay, it was a friendly, but I'm not knocking it still. He's playing France, the World Cup holders and the European Championship holders. And he scored in his debut as well. So, it's one of those scenarios where you think, listen, Ivan Toney is a brilliant striker, brilliant forward, knows where the back of the net is, except for the last 5 games. I don't think he scored in the last 5 games, but we're going to talk about that. But other than that, if he's not going to play, then Marcus Force is one who you will feel confident can, if he gets a sniff of goal, will put the ball in the back of the net.
I mean, I was looking on your website before we came live, and you're not short of forwards, are you? I mean, I'm looking here, and you've got 9 forwards at the club.
You probably know more than I do, and I know quite a lot about the club. But I think a lot. Again, it depends on what you class.
I'll take one of those is out on loan, but
which one's that?
Cesar Joel Valencia Castillo.
Oh yeah, so Valencia. Okay, so Valencia again. This is what I'm saying.
And Banana Armour as well, obviously.
Yeah,
or Banana Armour, as I like to call him.
Yeah, Ben Rama again. So Ben Rama's gone. I mean, the deal is actually it's a done deal. He's gone. He's gone to West Ham. It's all over. Again, it depends on these players because we play one player up front. So when you say forwards. To me, I think striker, which is Ivan Toney and Marcus Force. So those are the 2 players that come in there as well. We got this young kid as well from Man United. Again, I'm really bad because I should remember his name and I'll probably come back to me in a minute. But he's a young kid who we literally only got, and he's coming out of our B team, who will probably be on the bench as well tomorrow as well. So he's another kind of striker that we got. Aaron Presley as well is another striker. He's out of our B team. But then other than that, because we play quite an attacking front line, we got your wingers, we got your kind of your attacking midfielders. You've got players like Ben Rama, who is he's an attacking player. Is he a winger? Is he a number 10? Is he what kind of player is he? When he played for us as well, you got Josh De Silva again. He's an attacking midfielder. You've got Emiliano Marcondes, who won't be playing tomorrow, but again he's like an attacking midfielder. So yes, we've got a lot of attacking players. Brian Mbumo as well. He's our record signing from Troyes. and he was €6 million as well. He was part of the BMW last season, banging in goals for fun. He did a wicked little flick back actually for Ivan Toney to put the cross in for our goal against Luton, if you check that out as well. But Brian Mbumo, great player, great attacking player. This season hasn't been as good as he was last season, but he's still a quality player. And he might actually play tomorrow. Actually, he might be one of our first team players that we play tomorrow to try and get some game time. So answering that question, we have got some good attacking players who play in various positions in and around the front of the attack, and also in midfield as well. So we don't like to think that we're a team who just all our goals come from the striker who plays up front. So that's probably quite an important thing for us as well. And also our wing backs are very important as well, important for our game, and also our goalkeeper, who's like a fullback as well. He's like a wing back. Our goalkeeper. You'll often find on the halfway line.
Don't talk to me about sweeper keepers. Look at Kasper Schmeichel the other night. He was virtually on the halfway line at one point. Yeah.
I think Schmeichel and Ray will probably be swapping positions, mate. You know what I'm saying? They'll probably be sort of juggling up the ball, the halfway line between each other.
I half expected Kasper at that point to go that way and then do the scorpion kick. I'm thinking like, oh God, no. He came from off field totally. But I've got to ask you about this guy, because last year a lot of Leicester fans were saying we've got to go because we need a backup striker to Jamie Vardy. I know Inacho scored against you last year. You won't know how he's playing for us, but he's not. He comes on, but he's not reliable. He's not going to sort of get you the goals that you need when your main striker's out. And everybody was saying to us last year, like, oh, we should be going in for Ollie Watkins. We should be going in for Ollie Watkins. Obviously, he went to Villa with the Dean Smith connection. A name that a lot of fans are saying to us, a lot of Leicester fans are saying, is that we should be going for this, the Ivan Toney. You rate him highly?
He's brilliant. Tony's brilliant. Watkins is brilliant as well last season, but and Ivan Toney's brilliant. Different type of player. Totally different type of player. He's the type of player you put the ball, into the area, puts his head on the ball, put the ball in the area. He's there, and he can be a poacher player. He's strong. He's your archetypal striker, Ivan Toney. He's big. He's strong, and he's a great player as opposed to Ollie Watkins, who he'd be out on the wing sometimes. He kind of runs the channels. He plays other players in. But saying that, Ivan Toney, he laid up the goal on Saturday. Perfect, brilliant. Not Saturday, yesterday against Luton. Brilliant goal it was as well. You like I said, you've got to check it out. Let the cross back, Toney, put the ball in back of the net. But also, Ivan Toney does a lot of defending as well. So you'll often find him back in your own penalty area. So I think this is the benefit as well of what we've had of having Toney this season, because he's scoring the goals. But also what's happened is it's almost like we've had an extra defender, somebody who's willing to track back and help when the team's in trouble. And then after you get the ball and then play the ball up to one of the other attacking players who's up there. And he's like thinking, oh, it's not me. I don't have to be up there the whole time. I'm quite happy to be in defense, helping out, getting the ball, playing the ball up to the other players who will actually, hopefully make a goal there themselves. And that has been a massive advantage for us this season. You won't be seeing that obviously on Sunday in the game because Toney won't be playing, but he's quality.
Well, if you see Rodgers and Frank having a bit of a longer chat after the game, maybe Rodgers is putting in an offering for him.
Well, saying that as well with Ollie Watkins, he was another player that we really wanted you to come in for last season. It's like Leicester's the team that we're quite happy to sell up. Fulham were talking about sort of going after him, but I don't think they wanted to pay the money, stuff like that. But we would have loved, him to Leicester, Ben Rama. You can have, just take our players, good side, good manager, plays decent football. They're not one of the sort of the West, or one of our West London rivals, or one of the teams that keeps on boasting about stealing all our players like other teams do. And it's not, going to Leeds United, who we had a little bit of a fear Leeds or Ben Rama might have gone to Leeds, but that didn't happen because they didn't want to pay the money. I think the difficulty was that people were worried with the £28 million price tag, which goes up to 32 after the add-ons, and everyone got worried about it. But again, if you're speaking to me as a Brentford fan, and the thing is, I'm one of these people that I'm like, we use our our system, our stat system, which means that we buy players low. Ollie Watkins, we bought him for 1.5 million. You know, Ben Rama, 1.5 million. We sell them for whatever because basically teams don't take the risks like what we do. I know you guys are actually use the same statistical system that we do as well. You know, so you know the score. So I think that what will happen is that the reason why he didn't come to Leicester is that it was at the top of the value chart, whereas you like to buy lower down in the value chart. So you probably would have been more likely to buy Ollie Watkins a year before or the year before that when he was 10 million or 12 million if we would have sold him at that time. You know what I'm saying? But you weren't going to buy him at 28 million. But to me, I'm saying that him at 28 million would have been brilliant value because he's a brilliant player. Put him into a brilliant team like yours, and you actually might. Actually, I'm not saying you're not going to win the league, but you might actually win the
I think looking back on it, it is one player. We still say now that we should have got him. But talking about strikers, and just to finish on this now, then the guys that do the score predictions for me on a website, I've got some ex-players, so as you can imagine, that they are a little bit maybe biased towards Leicester. But we've got Steve Walsh has gone for a 2-0 win for us. Steve Lynix 1-0. Ian Marshall 3-1. I'm sorry, I've gone for a 3-0 because I just feel we're on that sort of run at the moment. Having spoken to you, I'm maybe thinking about that. What do you think the score is going to be?
Again, on our podcast, prideofwest.london, if you want to check it out. I said to you, we've done our score predictions on there as well. And there's three of us that went for it. Laney, he went for 3-1 to Leicester as well. Okay. And I did a bit of a ooh, and then afterwards I said, then Damo, the Damo, he went 1-1, and then Leicester would win on penalties, and I went 1-1, and Brentford would win on penalties. So there you go. So I'm talking about a little bit of an upset, you know, filling it out the bag there, and I just think the reason why absolutely us, no one expects us to do anything. You're not going to take us for granted, and I'm just hoping that our guys will go out there and have a lot of fun, enjoy themselves, nick a little goal, and just make everybody in West London, except for the Fulham and QPR lot, very happy.
Billy, it's been great having you on. You've been a great guest. Thank you very much. One last chance now. Go on, give your podcast and everything a bit of a shout out.
Yes, well, if you do, besotted.com is the blog that we do. So we're a fanzine, we're going on for sort of 30 odd years. So besotted was the fanzines turned into a blog, which is besotted.com, BEESOTTED.com, and also prideofwest.london is where you can get the podcast on there. So you can check it on the blog or you can check it on the podcast itself. We used to do 3 a week. When all that, we're doing about maybe 2 a week now as well. You should check it out, and it's definitely worth a listen. We did one last week, which is worth checking, or a couple of days ago, which is obviously on mental health as well. And we talked about mental health, the pandemic, and football, and how it affects you. And I know it talks about Luton as well, but don't worry about that. Just check that out because that's definitely worth a listen. And this one is an interesting one, the Leicester one, because you check that out. We'll talk about your game. We'll talk about our game against Luton and the best stats about that as well. But we also delve into a little bit of there's a few little bit of racism incidents in and around our club, which we're not too happy about as well. So we decided to have a little talk about that because you've got to talk about real issues as well as you
even had Brad on from Leicester Till I Die, and you survived.
That's right, we did indeed. So thanks for that, Brad. We appreciate it.
He's a good lad, he's Brad. He's a good lad. Billy, thanks so much. I'd wish you all the best for the weekend, but I wouldn't really mean it. And like I always say on these shows, everybody says, as long as football's a winner, bollocks, we want our own team to win. So I'm sure you want Brentford to win. I want Leicester to win. One of us is going to be happy anyway. Thanks very much, Billy. Take care and stay safe, mate.
And you too. Thanks for having us. Okay, good luck, Leicester fans, with the rest of the season.
All the best to everybody at Brentford. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye. That was Billy, and great lad. Great to have him on. Check out his podcast, like he said, because he has got Brad from ourselves, Leicester Till I Die, on, and he said that's going up live later on today or tomorrow. The game is on Sunday. It's 2:30. Brentford Community Stadium. Everywhere I've gone on to update this, it's coming up with a different name. New Griffin Park is what it's called. Not that we can go anyway. It's on BT Sport if you're watching that one. So keep an eye if you've got that platform, BT Sport. We'll be back about 40 minutes before kickoff on Sunday with the pre-match show with myself and Josh, and about 40 minutes after the final whistle, we will be back with me and Brad, and we'll be doing the post-match show. On that side there, you'll see us all. On that side there, you'll see us all where you can get us. Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, and if you want to listen to this on catch up, on listen rather than watch, any podcast platform. The main ones being Google, Spotify, Apple iTunes, and Anchor under Leicester Till I Die. Guys, I will see you on Sunday, about 20 minutes before kickoff. So it's about 1:40-ish for me and Josh for the pre-match show. Thanks very much. Thanks again to Billy. Great guest. It was brilliant to have him on. Stay safe, guys. See you Sunday.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.